40 wins for Cruz Pedregon, 30 years of the million, and the wildest 8th mile in the woods, all today live on the Wes Buck Show. Listen, I've never had any problem expressing my opinions, but what we're doing here is bigger than that. These are conversations that need to be had in an unfiltered way. Drag racing's all I've ever done. It's all I care to do. I respect the history, I appreciate how far we've come, but I want more for this sport, and I'll fight for it. It's uncut, it's unfiltered, this is the show of shows. The biggest names in drag racing. No holds barred. This is the great American motorsport, drag racing. Prove me wrong, I'll wait. Hey gang, Wes Buck here, Drag Illustrated Magazine, checking in. It is Wednesday, September 17th, 2025. Hope you're doing well out there. We're excited to have you join us as we break down all the latest news, happenings, and kind of all things drag racing here. We got a hell of a show for you guys today. As I mentioned in the opening, we got Cruz Pedregon checking in with us after his 40th win in NHRA Funny Car at Maple Grove Raceway this past weekend during the NHRA Maple Grove Nationals. We're also going to hear from Jennifer Folk live from Worldwide Technology Raceway in St. Louis, Missouri during the 30th annual running of the $1 Million Bracket Race. Super excited to check in with Jennifer. First time she's ever been on the show. And of course, we're going to have back one of our, I think we've only had Jeff on the show one time, but it was a barn burner when we did. We'll also close out the show today with an appearance by the one and only Jeff Thomas of War in the Woods and Brown County Dragway in Indiana. Got a whole lot of drag racing to cover. We're also going to kind of start the show off talking a little bit about Hot Rod Drag Week, which we've been following along with throughout here the first half of the week. Great. Tons of incredible action. But before we dive into that, let me introduce my co-host here on the show, the one and only Mike Carpenter. What's up, big dog? We're down JT. Man? JT's got a family function, a school function with his daughters, so we're letting
always
him off
manages to schedule those, man. It's impressive.
Yeah, he really does, man.
He claims he doesn't, but
he claims he tries to avoid it.
Yeah. We'll let him slide this week.
We'll let him slide, man. Well, hey, man, I'm glad you're here. I don't know if you've been following Drag Week as closely as I have, but, man, it just seems like it's been pretty damn interesting. I got to tell you, this event, I think about all that goes into organizing this, right? We've got about a decade of experience in event promotion and production at this point in time. And I was literally telling someone on the phone earlier today that it's amazing. Like, there's so much that you're trying to process and follow and determine what's significant and what's not. And in fairness, I think it's all significant, right? And it's all relative to each individual racer's kind of battle. But man, it's a whole lot of drag racing to try to identify what the real highlights are, right?
Yeah, and I mean, we've had Michael Narks and his drag drive repeat crew following along and keeping us up to date. I think without that, we would have a hard time. I mean, they've got a great live feed that they've always, I feel like this Hot Rod Drag Week was one of the first events that was like really leaned on the live feed, the live stream. Hot Rod and their YouTube channel did it. You know, I think Brian Loans and Freiberger kind of anchored that deal for a long time and still do. But yeah, it's been interesting. It started out like the last few drag weeks seem to have, where Jeff Lutz went out right away. It seems like the guys that you're looking for, the extreme cars, the real hitters, have a real tough time maintaining throughout the entire event. But it seems to have picked up since then, and we're really seeing some impressive stuff.
Give a little shout out to Michael Narks here, Drag Drive Repeat. He's been our boots on the ground this week, and man, what a difference he has made, man. It's super important, especially at events like this, when you have all these different storylines that you're trying to follow, and
you have to be embedded in it. I mean, the one year we embedded ourselves a little bit into Sick Week down in Florida for a couple of days. And that was an awesome deal, and we were able to cover it from that perspective. But without having somebody like Michael Narks there, it's really difficult. And he's been a great help this week, and just all the 1320 crew. There's a lot of different media outlets, I think, that come together to try to cover an event like this.
Oh, be there, no doubt, man. And I got to tip my cap to 1320 Video. I actually was watching through their coverage, and they were one of the first on the scene with this deal. And honestly, I think that they kind of grew alongside Drag Week because they were the go-to place for a more easily digestible bit of coverage from that event, because I pretty much have had the Drag Week Motor Trend stream on all day, every day this week. But it is, I got to give a lot of credit to Brian Loans and Freiberger in the booth. I don't know what exactly their schedule is, but that's got to be a grueling day. You've been on the mic at these deals, like, and you're typically sitting in for a session of Pro Mod here,
just one class.
Pro Mod there.
That's all I can do.
I really don't know how they do it.
Yeah. It's a special skill. And I think it's another thing that we've become numb to, almost. Like everything is streamed, and we take that for granted. And then what it takes to, you talk about what it takes to put on an event from a promoter standpoint, but just from a live stream standpoint, all the production, the crew that has to come in to do that stuff. And we're just so accustomed to having that. And anytime there's any kind of glitch or whatever, we lose our minds. But there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes to make an event like this happen, even one that's as like loosely scheduled, I would say, as a Drag Week event. And in a lot of ways, like you're saying, it becomes more difficult because you're not on this super rigid schedule. You're waiting on these guys to make it in from the next stop. They've got a large window of when they can make their run. So you're never really, it reminds me a lot of what was that deal that the boat deal, the Ozark, the shootout thing, where it's they don't have an exact time when the big dogs are gonna hit the water, and it's a lot the same here. So you got a lot of time to fill, you've got a lot of free roaming air time, and that can be a real challenge in itself.
Man, it's the organization that would have to be required, because if you think about, like, they're putting cars in impound, right? They're monitoring these things very rigidly from a technical perspective. You've got dedicated routes that they're supposed to race on, dedicated or drive on, dedicated check-in points. You've got limited crew. You're only supposed to have the guy riding with you working on the car. Like, it is a lot to police. And I just think back to, I love the origin story. Like, and I would actually really like to have Freiberger on here in the coming weeks to kind of talk about that, because this is like his brainchild. I mean, this is, something that he sat around thinking, man, we should do some sort of tow him, or drive him across the country drag racing event. And here we are all these years later, where, I mean, think about all the stars that have been born out of this particular brand of drag racing. Like, I think Larry Larson is probably the most prominent name, but Jeff Lutz also falls into that category. Who would Tom Bailey be? I mean, obviously Tom has big aspirations and a big vision for the sport of drag racing, and is doing, his fair share right now. But I would say more than his fair share with the Sick brand of events. But
Alex Taylor,
Alex
Taylor.
You
can't leave her out. She's probably become the most mainstream star out of all those.
And that was like one of the things that I saw in the YouTube comments so frequently yesterday and the day prior was, where's Alex Taylor? Where's Alex Taylor? Where's Alex Taylor?
You miss her being there now.
It's really wild, man. And a lot of these guys that have kind of become household names, but it is interesting to see what feels like the next generation of these guys. I've got a great video here from 1320. Wrong photo, my bad. Remove, add to stage. There we go. This is Ned Dunphy on day one in his 3,000 plus horsepower twin turbocharged Dodge Viper, headed to the water box at New Media Dragway in Pennsylvania. Fred there from 1320 providing some commentary, but we'll see. Dunphy, that's a good looking son of a bitch. I mean, I'm telling you what, like,
remember they were doing a bunch of features when they were building this car and getting that body and everything, getting the nose.
Yes. And that thing, like, I'm telling you, to me, like, that is damn near like the picture perfect drag and drive type of car. I mean, it's got a factory style paint job on it. I mean, it really,
that Viper GTS. Dude, like, do you remember when that came out? Like, first off, I mean, when the original Dodge Viper came out, the red one, what was that thing? The RT or whatever?
Yes.
It was the convertible. Well, I think it was,
I think it was an SRT10, wasn't it?
SRT10, that's right. And then this one's the GT, right? Am I saying that right? I'm not a huge Viper guy, but I remember when this deal, the blue with the white stripes, came out with the bubble top, hard top or whatever. Like, that was for our like age group when we were kids or teenagers, like that was the car. I mean, everybody talked about wanting a Viper just like this. And
No,
this thing
it's
is on steroids, obviously. And Ned,
oh,
I mean, he's done a lot in the radio world also. So like he's all
he's
over the
doing
place.
it, bro. He's doing
Yeah.
it and doing it big, man. I mean, and he is well on his way. I did the math earlier. I think his average right now would be like 6:15 with a 2 across these 3 races. And the quickest ever average in drag week history was Jeff Lutz in 2016, which I think was a 6:16. So he is on track to set the record and establish himself as the owner of the fastest street car in America.
It's interesting how difficult that number has been to lower. I mean, that's 10 years ago. And I know like Bailey, he set out to do a 5-second average across the week, right? That's what his car is built to do and hasn't been able to do it because it's hard to do. I mean, you can have a bad fast hot rod like he's got, but can you make it last across this entire event? And that's the challenge. And really cool to see. Like I'm a fan when records don't just fall like every weekend. It really means something.
I agree, man. I think we've talked about this in the past where it's like there's these moments where we've gotten drunk on the record falling. I was bringing this video back up, Mike. Check out, he's got his iPhone on the dash there.
Yeah, that's
like,
how JT
and
has that. Yeah,
NFL broadcast or something here.
Yeah, he's rewatching Netflix Quarterback for the 100th time since it features Mahomes.
I think he may be. It's hilarious, dude. But anyways, it's I agree, man. I like when these records fight them, you know, because I was thinking about that as well, because we really did, I think, all expect to see a 5-second average. That was like quickly becoming what everybody was talking about. But this just proves how hard this is. I mean, these guys are rolling out of these racetracks with a 250-mile drive ahead of them. And the stories that I have heard throughout the course of this week, guys using the trans brake to slow down, going down mountains or going down big hills and whatnot, bleeding brakes on the side of the road in the middle of the night.
I don't think that's what the trans brake was designed for. No. Sounds like it. Sounds like that's something that would have been designed for. That ain't how it works.
No, it's not, man. And I think it's pretty badass though, because as we experienced on Sick Week and as I've watched this, I just get the itch. I get the itch because it's the culture of those events are unlike anything that I've experienced in drag racing. It is this perfect melding of good time having and great drag racing competition. And I think it's interesting and kind of a unique thing in that it's really this battle against oneself. I mean, you're there on a personal conquest. We actually made a post on the Drag Illustrated Facebook page this morning, or the social channels, about Bryant Goldstone and his new 53 Corvette that is essentially a pro mod, right? I mean, it's a pro mod car that's been...
I mean, he's like, to me, he's the tone setter now for this deal. And he's quickly become like the name, in my opinion.
I agree, man. I mean, and it's like, if you really think about like the length to which this old boy is going, I mean, the quality of car, the kind of car that he's put together to do this, it's pretty insane. I mean, I don't know. I just don't know that I ever thought we'd see the day that a guy would literally be driving down the road in a tube chassis, double frame rail, legit competitive pro mod type of car with that level of investment and be driving it into a quick trip, you know, to fill it up between racetracks. It's a really incredible thing and a testament to not only, I mean, I think nobody deserves more credit than the men and women that are doing this. Like, and I saw it throughout the course of this first half of the week, these drivers with the videos that get posted and the emotion that is attached to these personal bests and firsts and quickest of a certain category. I mean, this is like drag racing's DNA in a lot of ways, because you and I spending our entire lives at the drag strip, I can't count how many times I've had somebody come up to me and tell me I've got the fastest small tire, Coyote powered, single turbo, full interior, stick shift. What, you know what I'm saying? Like
micro record. That's what
record.
I think we came up with that. We need to get that trademarked. It's a micro record.
Records matter in drag racing, man. Micro records matter in drag racing. And I get a huge kick out of it because that's like so many of the posts are tied to that. And it's a reminder of the validation that comes from drag racing. It's rooted almost entirely in the numbers printed on that little white piece of paper.
Yeah, and we printed that quote. I mean, that card, you should drop that in here. What it was, I forget the exact quote, but
It's
can't
funny
believe the
how
amount of validation that comes from
that
that
little
piece of paper. Yeah.
And that quote to me is just so true. I mean, that is 100,000,000% rooted in truth. These guys pour every ounce of energy they have into producing that number. And when it happens, I mean, we've seen it. I mean, we make fun of guys like Ricky Smith or poke fun for getting emotional, but I personally love it. I love when Ricky gets caught up and gets emotional and choked up and his eyes are watering, because it's just a reminder of how much this stuff means to these folks. And it's important to put that out front and center. Like, we cannot do enough of it, in my opinion. And, people may like to bag on it or whatever, or the whole classic act as if. I think the real lesson is, like, act as if it's the first time every time. If you can lean into that and maintain that level of excitement about what we do, I think it's a significant thing. I think it's important, man. I do want to, we've got about 10 minutes before we hear from Cruz Pedregon. And I was just going to throw up this. You mentioned a question that really wasn't on my radar for today, but I do think it's worth noting. The question, I think, like, kind of goes, what is the impact of live feeds on fan turnout in 2025? When you brought up the, Hot Rod Drag Week and being one of the kind of first on the scene with this all-encompassing, nonstop coverage, look at the fan turnout that they've had throughout the course of this week alone. I mean, I was getting texts yesterday when they rolled into Maple Grove Raceway that there was a line of cars waiting to get into the place first thing in the morning. Not racers, fans on a Tuesday morning. I mean, we've seen
they can't get enough at Maple Grove, man. Did you see the crowd at NHRA? I mean, that was impressive. I know that place always does well, but that seemed above average to me. And then for these, probably a lot of these same people coming back this week, can't get enough. And I think I think what probably fostered the drag week live feed is that it's like a Tuesday, right? It's not, you can't expect people to come out. I mean, you do expect them to come out on a weekend, a Friday or Saturday or Sunday, but on a Tuesday, you almost feel like you have to do a live stream if you're going to get this product out to people. And our own James Sisk, photographer here at Drag Illustrated, chats with us in our team Slack channel. He said, that's what I've always loved about Drag Week, is that I can have it pulled up here on my browser at work. I'm probably getting him in trouble right now. He needs we need a not safe for work warning on this, but he said I can always have it up on my browser and watching it while I'm at work. And I know there's a lot of people that do that with just the ubiquitous nature of the internet now, and everyone's got it on the phone or whatever, or at their workplace. I think that's a huge draw. And obviously we're not seeing it impact the fan turnout of this event. And I think we've gotten to a point now where it's so expected to have a live feed that people, if you don't have one, it's a shock. And I think people are going to they're either coming to your event or not, regardless if you have a live stream. Like, it's either local to them and they're planning on coming, it's something that they've circled on their calendar, or not. And I think the feed itself, all it does is reach those people that can't make it there. I really, at this point, think that you have to have a live feed. It's almost an expectation, and I don't think that it is cannibalizing our in-person and ticket sales to the point that we thought it was 10 or 15 years ago.
I agree. And I do know that this is like a polarizing conversation. I know there are promoters out there that, think there should be local blackouts, all these various things that we've seen in like traditional stick and ball sports. But I'm with you. I think that
hardly exists anymore in stick and ball sports. Like, that's gone away with the internet and the access that everyone has. I think that you can't hardly chase that down anymore. Like,
I don't know that the juice is worth the squeeze. I mean, what's the effort? I mean, because to me, it all falls back. I mean, it lands at the feet of the track and the promoter to create a live event experience that rivals that of staying home and watching it, right? I know personally, having been, just using Sick Week as another fantastic example, I've watched that event in its entirety via live stream, and I've attended that event essentially in its entirety in person. And I can tell you that those experiences are wildly different. It's great to be able to watch it, like you said, when you're not able to be there, or you've got conflicting events or whatever, and that's really important. But nothing is going to replace, no amount of comfort at home or air conditioning or whatever is going to replace the experience of actually being on the property of one of these events. And I think that's that's the responsibility of every promoter in this day and age, is to create a live event experience that is significant enough that the last thing you're going to do is miss it. The last thing you're going to do is sit at home and watch it from a couple of different viewpoints when you could be there and experience it. And, honestly, I think that's something that these guys and gals that are making the decisions on these events or putting on these races have to think about, have to labor over. Like, are we doing something here that is enough better, enough more impactful on the grounds of this venue than what somebody would experience from the comfort of their own home? I certainly feel like I see that in the NFL. I see that in NBA. I see that in various other sports where there's so much effort into turning it in to like a real cultural happening where the last thing you want to do is miss the game. You got to be there. Everybody's going to be there. And I think that that's something that drag racing, still has some room for growth in. I really do, man. But no, I think the live stream situation, I feel like as much as I was glad to have the opportunity to talk to you about it, I also feel like that ship has sailed. There's no putting that rabbit back in the hat at this point, man.
Yeah, for sure. And like you're saying, a lot of it, I think a lot of that decision comes down to, man, that event's 4 days long. The days are 14 hours long. I'm just going to catch it where I can on the live feed. And I think that's what you're saying, that we've got some room for, taking that part of the decision out of the equation and making that if you are coming to the live event, it's an action packed, digestible type of event.
Yeah, 100%. I see a question here, a comment from ZZ Top Fan. The question is, what effect is the attempted monetization going? Excuse me. The question is, what effect is the attempted monetization look of the live feed going to have? And I think that that's talking about commercials, behind a paywall. And this is another interesting conversation that I was actually having with Keith Haney last night, that, despite all the hubbub about paywalls, especially here in drag racing, right? It seems like there's a real, couple of different schools of thought on this in particular. And I got to tell you, man, I feel like we're becoming quickly trained to pay for essentially everything. I mean, you can't log on to half the websites that pull up in Google search results without paying for a membership or paying for a subscription. Paramount Plus, Netflix, Amazon Prime. I mean, the list goes on, and we're being quickly programmed to basically have to maintain a subscription to every one of those services if you want to watch whatever new show just dropped or new movie just came out. It's kind of a part of our life.
Yeah, they're using those events as a hook to get you to subscribe. The pay-per-view thing, I think that when UFC has now basically done away with pay-per-views with this Paramount deal, that is Paramount betting the house that you will, stay hooked to their product year round just for the UFC events. And it's probably a good bet. And now the idea of just paying one time for one event is done. And now it's more like, we want to hook you with this, and this is our flagship offering. We want you to stay with us for the whole year and pay that fee. And I mean, at whatever $10 a month that Paramount is, and you get a pay-per-view a month or whatever they're going to do, I mean, that's a good value. The question is going to be, due to having to pay for that and pay for UFC, and then once they get you hooked, is it going to be, oh, now we need to raise the price? I think that is something you're going to see. I think when a lot of these streaming deals first came, or if you want to relate it back to drag racing, free live feeds, it was just like, let's just put it out there and see what sticks and see if this works. And then as production got more expensive, travel gets expensive, the cost of just everything to bring it to you becomes more expensive. You have to start charging. And then so I think it's just a natural progression as our expectations of these feeds grow. Like you said, we're being kind of trained to that being the way. But when you look at it, you can't, it's very rare, and it's not a realistic expectation to expect the quality that we want to see out of these events and to see them and have it be free or be completely advertiser supported. I think that you can't have it. It's like the triangle, whatever, pick two out of the three. Like you can have two of these, you can't have the third one. It's very rare, usually short lived, to be able to have it all and have it free. So I think that that's probably the direction we're heading.
Yeah, I mean, and I do believe that there's a place for the free content and there's a way to use it. I think it's a great marketing tool, to your point. I think that that's one of the best ways to go about it. If you want to get people to ultimately, bite the bullet, make that investment and subscribe to your service, you're probably going to have to give away, some content for free or put it in front of your paywall instead of behind it. But I do think that it's as the expectations, because that's the other problem, is like what we see on TV and what we see from, some big political happening or some big major league sporting event. Those things, like comparing what's happening there to what's happening in our space, is really difficult because there aren't $1 million production budgets. And that's a lot of the stuff when I hear people talk about, oh, black screen of death or buffering or, it's a little fuzzy. It's like, hey, man, all of this stuff takes resources and infrastructure that our sport, there are certain high spots. I mean, I think the NHRA.TV broadcast has reached a new level. I think Flow Racing has reached a new level. We've seen Speed Sport kind of burst onto the scene with their coverage of the NHRA and do a great job. So, I mean, it's happening, but it's not going to happen overnight. And I think we'll continue to see that improve as more of this technology and stuff becomes more readily available and more cost effective. But no, I think live streams are here to stay, and we actually need more of it, not less. I think there is an argument to be made for, and NHRA has experimented with this, I think, with great success, the free streams on Facebook or the free stream on YouTube. Like, hey, we're going to let today's coverage air for free, courtesy of XYZ sponsor. And I think that's smart because I think you're accessing a whole lot of eyeballs that you may otherwise not get. But what I was talking about with Keith Haney, for me, being an event promoter myself, I actually like being behind a paywall because I would rather have truly dedicated fans that are actually invested enough to spend their hard-earned money to consume this. Like, I would rather have that than somebody who's a casual fence riding fan or is kind of got one toe in the drag racing water, but really isn't into it, or is watching just to see a crash or something terrible happen. I like that.
Yeah, it's the digital version of the free ticket. The free ticket is great, more butts in the seats or eyes on the stream or whatever, but it's not your dedicated hardcore fan. And from a sponsor ROI, they're going to agree with what you're saying. They want that targeted audience. That's why they're involved in the sport or on the side of a car or whatever. Not just, if they just wanted to do widespread shotgun marketing, that'd probably be in a different segment or market or different approach. But that when companies are getting involved in our sport, it's for a reason, and it's that audience. So I agree 100% with what you're saying.
And it's also that most of the products that are for sale are, like, I think about the things that are advertised via Drag Illustrated, right? We've been in the advertising business for 20 years now, and we got, customers from all over creation that sell a wide swath of products. But more often than not, these are high ticket items. And it's not going to be just some casual fan that's going to buy a $100,000 engine from Pat Musey Racing Components or call up Liberty and buy a $10,000 transmission. I mean, these are people that are well beyond medium level interest. I mean, these are hardcore dedicated people. And I think there's significant value associated to that, man. But hey, let me take a quick second here and remind you that each and every episode of the Wes Buck Show is made possible by way of our friends at Stroud Safety. Stroud Safety is known for their top quality racing safety equipment, from drag chutes and seatbelts to fire suits and blankets, all 100% made in America. Log on to StroudSafety.com today and make sure you tell them we sent you. Mike, I'm going to derail the conversation because we've got a big guest in the green room. This is a big moment for the show. One of my favorite episodes that we ever did. It's been many years ago. Unfortunately, at this point, I was still living in Missouri the last time this gentleman joined us here on the Wes Buck Show, and I'm excited to have him back fresh off his 40th career Nitro Funny Car victory at the NHRA Maple Grove Nationals. Let's give it up for the one, the only Cruz Pedregon. What's up? Cruz is behind the wheel. I can't. I mean, steady driving.
Yep. Driving my SRT Durango to Charlotte, actually. As we speak.
I was about to say, that's got to be some kind of high performance deal with the red seats and the red seat belt.
Yeah. I got the white, got the racing stripe down the red, double racing stripes down the center. Got my little red leather, little red seat belt. Eating some hot tamales too, so I'm all matching red here today.
Yeah, you're good to go, man.
Well, speaking of hot tamales, man, getting spicy at exactly the right time, Cruz. It's been great to see you on something of a media tour throughout the beginning of the week. I love to see winners get their moment in the sun, right? You deserve to get your flowers. I think you deserve to be paraded around, get your championship parade after a big event win like this. So, but some of the things that I've been seeing you say, we love stick and ball sports analogies. And man, you've given us some real ammunition here. Talking about building your young team kind of from the ground up through the draft, so to speak. Jason Bunker leading the charge amongst a slew of young men that are helping put the Snap-on Funny Car in the winner's circle. Can you just kind of elaborate on that thought process? Because I know here on this very show and many others, and on the pages of our magazine and many others, there has been a concern. I often tell people that I think one of the biggest issues facing our sport right now is a lack of qualified crew members or people interested in even pursuing that line of work. And it's even greater when it comes to like true tuning minds. So tell us about Jason Bunker, how these things have come together, and kind of your thought process on building this team through the draft. Shit. Did we lose him?
Yeah, well, I've had veteran guys. Oh, sorry.
Oh, we got you.
No, we got you.
Okay. So, through the years, I've had the veteran crew chiefs, the guys that have been there, done that. And I've had some younger guys. So I kind of felt like, I kind of run the gamut for the veteran guy that kind of set in their ways and really want to do things their way. And I'm a hands-on owner. I'm very involved in the car. I'm very involved with the budget for obvious reasons. I have to control the budget. So somebody has to around here, right? So, I always felt like there's some advantages to getting a younger guy to kind of go along with the overall theme and the building of the car and the infrastructure. So, not that there's anything wrong with the older guys, but you got to be careful with the older guys because they're going to want to do it how they did it. And hey, I may not like how they did it, right? So I did run into that with some veteran guys. So I figured, you know what? I don't want to go through the process again, having a guy here for 2 or 3, 4 years. And we're just average Joe. We're just kind of doing it, everything the way he wants to do it. So I felt like in order for me to have my signature on this, I want to get a younger guy where I could bring him in like a Jason Bunker who already had he's a smart guy. He's young. He's enthusiastic. He wants to do this at this level. He'd raced Pro Mod, Nostalgia Funny Cars. He dabbled a little bit in Pro Nitro Funny Car with Tony Gerardo out on the West Coast. And he had some connections with some key guys within the sport. So, I talked to Jason at length several times before I hired him, and I finally pulled the trigger, hired him. The first year, I'm not going to lie, was, with some growing pains. But I really saw a guy that had the right attitude and a guy that I felt like I could work with. So that being said, we kind of had some growing pains. We had some flashes at times. Last year was our first year with Jason. We started in December of 23 all the way through 24. And then I brought on Lee Beard, a kind of a veteran guy to kind of help myself mentor Jason. And I kind of felt like that was stagnated. That kind of I think it was kind of more, Lee was kind of in a way a smart guy in his own right, a championship crew chief. But I felt like he was kind of taking Jason away from what I had kind of envisioned for Jason as a team with myself in the mix, so to speak. And so I just said, hey, Lee, you're a consultant. Let's just, we're good. We're good. We got it. So Jason and I went on our own, starting in Brainerd, just the two of us. And man, it's been a slow progress, but the car has had flashes, like I said. And, yeah, man, the car runs as good as any car. We just have to get, as most nitro cars, as you know, Wes, consistency is a whole nother animal. So, yeah, so to bring you full circle, yeah, we won the race there. And, you might be able to argue, did we have all the rounds dominant? I don't think anybody does except for maybe Jimmy Proc occasionally. They'll run the table. We did have a top half qualifying position. We did have second quickest low ET of the first round, only to Jimmy Proc's car at 91. We ran a 92. And the car was, other than one run, we did spin the tires against, who was it? I think it was Austin Proc, actually. The track had heated up.
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah, we closed the deal, ran a strong 396 at 330 miles an hour in the final. So feels so good to win that race, man, after doing all that we did.
Oh,
Yeah.
you make a lot of great points, because we have a lot of conversations like that even around here with our, kind of burgeoning media company. We started out as a print publication and quickly evolved into what I believe is a modern media company. And I have a very similar belief system where it's like, I would rather have someone who's a tough rough around the edges, maybe a 6 or a 7, but has passion and enthusiasm and a good attitude, that we can work together to turn him into a 9 or 10 over the course of time. And I mean, I know that sounds a little disparaging when I say it like that, but I think
that's a risk, though. I mean, I think that's a risk. It's a risk-taking move that most people aren't willing to make. I mean, not only did you Wes, and you Cruz as well, go in that direction, but then you had Lee Beard as the consultant, and you even kind of told him that you're good. That's another risk. So really just like doubling down on your risk until you see the payoff. It's a risk reward deal, and I think you're finally seeing the payoff for your risk. And I don't think we see enough teams take that, especially in the fuel ranks. I mean, we joke a lot. We're pro mod guys and door car guys, and we've seen like that class evolve to a very complex technical level. And I know that these fuel cars are, but in so many ways, Wes and I, we joke about this. We'll walk up on a fuel car and we're like, man, this thing is pretty crude, or it seems like it's kind of a throwback in a lot of ways to the old days. Not a ton of evolution. I mean, there's a lot of technology and everything, but a lot of things maybe are kind of stuck in their old ways, like you're saying, where some of this fresh thinking can come along and evolve it. And so that's really like refreshing to hear, especially out of a guy who's been doing it as long as anybody at this point and has kind of seen this evolution over the course of your 30+ year career at this point.
Yeah, let's make no mistake about it. I would not have taken a risk had I not been confident and really being involved in these cars and knew what I was looking at and knew Jason well enough to know, what, we can do this with just us guys, just he and I, and then a good group of guys, 7 guys, and we call them the worker bees, that are out there hammering a car together. And so I really felt it was a calculated move, but we have good notes. Like I said, I've been doing this, and one thing I've paid attention to my 30+ year nitro career.
Oh no, that looks like a phone call to me, Michael.
Yeah,
that looks like the black
phone call.
Screen of death right there. Speaking of Jason Bunker, let's just go ahead and throw this up and we can watch it while we wait for Cruz to pop back on. But I've got to bring this back to the beginning. Great moment there in the final round. Cruz Pedregon going head-to-head with Blake Alexander, who was having a hell of a weekend in his own right.
Those overhead shots are wild, because you can see Cruz's car was staged up at a little bit of an angle, but then it quickly corrected. Like, that was intentional, what they did. You would look at it from that
pointed
top
toward the center line. Yeah, I noticed the exact same thing. This shot right here, I mean, you can see it pointed.
But watch it just immediately correct. Boom.
Yeah.
Before it even gets to the tree, it's straight.
Really pretty impressive, man. And I got to give it up to Jason Bunker. I mean, I love the reaction here, the fist in the sky. I just think it's, and
we know the Bunkers, man. We've been around them, or I have. I've maybe more than you know.
Sure.
My dad raced against Jason's grandfather, Bob Bunker, the Folsom Flash, the Bob Bunker, the green blown 55 Chevys back on the West Coast. He really one of the originators, especially on the West Coast, of Pro Mod back in the late 80s. And so those guys have been around it for a long time, done a lot of different stuff. I think didn't Jason have something to do with Mark Metter's operation out there back in the day when he ran, when the PSCA deal was thriving, streetcar super nationals and all that. So somebody that we've watched kind of come up through the ranks here and always known to have that potential that I think Cruz is seeing in it, which is just really cool to hear Cruz. And just really, I mean, ballsy, to be honest with you. The risk reward, right? We always say there's no reward without risk. And I think your Cruz is like proof of that right here.
I sure think so, man. I mean, and you think about Jason Bunker, he's 40 years old. I mean, he's very early in this process. And I thought it was interesting that he brought up the situation with Lee Beard, because I have, like, we've had these conversations privately and publicly that, who's going to be the next Alan Johnson? I mean, what happens when these guys eventually don't want to do this anymore? And we're starting to see, we always kind of go back to door slammer drag racing, but I'm starting to see fresh faces at these racetracks, right? I'm starting to see more and more fresh faces in tuning roles in the door slammer ranks. And it's nice to see some of that happening in Top Fuel and Funny Car as well, because it does feel like perhaps, I mean, we had Richard Freeman on here a few weeks ago, or maybe it was a private conversation I was having with him. I can't remember, but he's like, we want to go Top Fuel racing, but we don't want to do so until we feel like we have the right people in place to do it. It does look like we've got Cruz Pedregon back here. So,
yeah. Can you guys hear me now?
Yeah.
Buddy, sorry about that.
Sorry about that.
No, you're fine. Classic phone call interruption. It happens to the best of us. Don't worry, buddy. But no, we were just talking about,
okay,
yeah, go ahead.
Oh,
These are almost, there's some comic relief here. You have to admit, there's some comedic relief here that I'm not totally against. Let's see if we get him back. Clint Stroke is excited to see Cruz on here. I am as well. Ty Lindbarger actually remembers when you were out in California, buddy.
Yeah, Ty's a guy here local to me, longtime family friend. Yeah, the old Shoebox Dream video, man. Guys, that thing changed some lives back in the day. I'm telling you, that was, you talk about ahead of its time with the production level and stuff. And I'll never forget when they took the full size, that full size VHS that your dad would have on his shoulder with the full size tape in it. The first one that was widely available, and mounted that thing inside my dad's car and other cars out there to get that in-car footage. That was just revolutionary at the time. So good times, man.
Oh, it is insane, man. Some of those videos were so good. I'm not sure that we still to this day don't have, we have very few things that are as good as those videos were, which is kind of crazy.
And they did a great job profiling the human behind the cars and the emotion and everything. It was really well done. Made a lot of, I feel that video alone was probably a major, what do you want to say it? A crucial part of the early days of Pro Mod.
Oh, we got him back. Okay, Cruz Pedregon, he's back with us. Third time's a charm, big dog. No, you're good, man. So I don't know if you can remember where you're at, but feel free to pick up where you left off.
Well, I just simply said that we weren't going to put Jason on an island by himself. I felt like we had, it was a good relationship, myself, and a good working relationship. And as a driver, and I've also tuned cars myself, so I felt confident that together as a group that we were not going to let him fail, and that's what it's turned out to be.
What do you make of, there's two kind of fairly differing schools of thought here. I mean, I know plenty of drivers that like to be well removed from the tuning decisions and having that hands-on involvement in the car. But here you are, running the team, driving the car, competing to win, and also having a very hands-on involvement in the tuning of it. How much more difficult does that make a day like Sunday for you as a driver, Cruz?
I think it's very difficult. I do it out of necessity, to be honest with you. I would like to step back and just be a driver and a owner. I have my plate fairly full, but I do it out of necessity, man. I mean, I do it because I'm good at it. I understand the car. I've got a lot of experience. I've been there, done that. I've smoked the tires with the best of them. I've overtuned. I've undertuned. I've seen a lot. And so I feel like I have a lot to bring to the table on that front. And however, I just haven't had a guy, like somebody said, being critical of me, he said, "Oh man, Cruz goes through a lot of crew chiefs." I said, "Give me Austin Coyle or Jimmy Prock. Give me Austin Coyle from the 90s. Give me Jimmy Prock, and I'll be the best owner you guys have ever seen in your entire life. I'll be a good boy. Cruz will not fire anybody." But the problem is there's guys that are very few and far between, and I don't trust just anybody running my car, right? So maybe I'm a control freak to a certain degree, but I like the car to go fast when it's time to go fast. And when it smokes the tires, I tell Jason, it takes no skill to smoke the tires. So don't you be smoking the tires. So I'm pretty hard on Jason, to be honest with you. I mean, I'm not we get that locker room in my lounge, man. It's sometimes the paint's about to peel off the walls, but I feel like, nice guys finish last. I'm not out there to make friends. I'm out there to win. And I have, like I said, a lot of experience to bring to the table. And Jason, to his credit, he doesn't get offended very easily. He's a smart guy, and he listens and he brings a lot to the table. So I think I found a guy that just because I chew his ass out, he's not gonna get his little feelings hurt and go pouting and not want to talk to me and and go hide in the corner. So like I said, those guys, there's a lot of those guys out there, but like I said, the good guys, they're taken, man. And so I've got to make do with what I have, and I think we're on the right track to making some really good things happen.
No, there's no doubt.
It's like
man.
an old school mentality too. And I mean, I like that. That's where we're getting the emotion we see in your interviews and your hands-on approach, and the fact that you are so tied to it and invested in it is what we're kind of missing, I feel like, in a lot of ways from these teams. And I wouldn't want to see you be more disconnected from it. So I think it's a really good mix, and we're seeing it pay off. But the other thing that I think has impressed me, we were going back and looking at your last win. That was at the end of 2022. And, obviously you had the strong run in the 90s, the championship and the wins up till then. But, it's been fewer and far between and harder to get those wins recently. Yet you've maintained a great relationship with Snap-on as your primary sponsor. Like during those ups and downs and those gaps between these wins, how do you keep that momentum going, and how do you keep the sponsors, on your side and coming back and some of those challenges that you guys have faced? Do we lose them again?
Oh no, that's a good question, Michael.
I know.
You had to be proud of that.
I'll do it again. We'll run it again when we get it back.
Can you run it back?
But
Because I'm very impressed if you're able to run it back.
That's another thing we don't see a lot. I mean, it's like
years with a sponsor is. Yeah. I mean,
you have a bad year or two, and it's gone. It's a 1 year deal. Like so many of these things are 1 year deals. Like how are you gonna put it all together in 1 year?
I wonder the same thing, man. I mean, I literally don't know I don't know how people are able to keep those relationships together for so long. Like they're so challenging. It's such a big ask, but I think it just speaks to the value provided. I mean, because if you see it, I mean, whether it's a car covered in all these different tool dealers' names, whether it's a dealer of the race, all these different programs and bringing in hundreds of guests to the events like we've known, Cruz and company to be willing to do, to me, that is it's a big value. I mean, especially when you're talking, I mean, I don't know about you, man, but it was like Christmas every week when the Snap-on truck rolled into Buck Brothers Sunny Slope Auto in Kirksville, Missouri.
Depending how much you owed him, right? Yeah. You wanted to go on that truck or not, depending on what your bill looked like for that month. But that's a good example though. Like you can't take those risks that we're talking about with Cruz and with Bunker and with a young team. If you're on a 1 year deal with a sponsor and you got to like make something happen that year, when you've got a sponsor like Snap-on that's been behind him for 15 years, and I don't know what his current contract status is, but probably has a couple more, you can make those longer plays. Like we never get to see anybody make the long play anymore. Everything is just I put it together in January. I got to get a car and operation together to roll out in March, and then you're just scrambling the whole year, and then we didn't run well, and now I've lost my sponsor, and I'm doing the same cycle again at the PRI show in December or whatever. So it's like, how can you really expect any kind of risk to be taken or long-term success to be built when that's the environment that most of these teams operate in, unfortunately?
It's true, man. I find myself concerned every time I see another one of these big name sponsors come in, or a big investment type sponsor come into the space, and you start to ask yourself, like, hey, are these guys understanding that it's going to require some patience, because drag racing is extremely hard, and you're not only competing against these other 20 guys in the pits, but you're competing against track conditions, the weather, all these various factors that can derail your weekend. And you've got to have someone that understands that this is not going to be an overnight success. I mean, very rarely do you see things come together quickly with a new team or a new sponsor. So anyways, it's really cool to see Snap-on support Cruz the way that they have, man. And I really feel like he referred to himself during Competition Plus's Power Hour interview with him. He referred to their team as a wild card team. And again, it's another one of these stick and ball references that I really like.
He's the big Raiders fan, man. See, that's why JT's off the show today. I mean, Chiefs are 0-2. I think the Raiders are 0-2 also, but JT didn't want to hear from Cruz about the Chiefs today.
Yeah, he probably.
We just figured it out. We're going to have to somebody text JT and let him know that we figured out his plan.
And we may have to send a note to Cruz and try to bring him back later in the show, because we are scheduled to bring our next guest on here shortly.
I think she just joined in here.
I think she just popped in here, so we'll get prepared for that. Let me take a quick second here, though, and remind you guys that each and every episode of the Wes Buck Show is made possible by way of our friends at Redline Synthetic Oils. Formulated to win, proven by you. We're talking about a brand trusted by the best in the business. Ty Tutterow, Steve Torrance, Callie Mills, Spencer Hyde, Scott Palmer, Tommy Franklin, and the list goes on. These aren't just weekend warriors. They're champions, killers, and contenders who rely on Redline to get it done. Formulated to win, proven by racers like you. Check out the full lineup at redlineoil.com.
Man, we got to get with Mark Beatty. Where's our proven by me thing in the commercial? I see that every weekend. Proven by me, proven by me. They got everybody in there. I can't believe Mark left us.
Yeah, we're going to have to do one, because I mean, we're two guys here that don't have a vehicle in the house that isn't equipped with Redline oil.
Yeah, we'll have to talk to Mark. Oh, Raiders are 1-1. See, man, Cruz could have been all over JT today.
Oh, he really
That's
could.
a missed opportunity for sure.
Can I ask the production, Blake, would you mind telling JT to communicate with Cruz that we could try to bring him on later, or we could reconvene next week, because we are going to run out of time. Ladies and gentlemen, we are headed into this weekend. It's actually already begun, September 16th through 20th, the 30th annual running of the Million, the bracket race that has been kind of a catalyst for so many spin-offs and different variations of this, and really introduced the world in a lot of ways to big money bracket racing. We just lost her. She was in the green room, literally right there.
She's all set up too, man, with a nice background. Like, I thought we had it going here.
I was rolling right up to having her, and I literally was getting ready to say her name. Okay, we're back. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for is she there? Jenny Folk. What's going on, Jenny?
Hi, sorry guys.
Hey.
I had to switch Wi-Fi's. I came upstairs and this one wasn't working. I had to switch because the downstairs Wi-Fi doesn't work up here. So sorry about that.
No worries. Good old racetrack internet problems.
Yeah.
We know that very well.
Well, we're excited to have you kind of provide us a little bit of a live look. You are on the grounds at Worldwide Technology Raceway Park in Madison, Illinois, right across the river from downtown St. Louis, the new home of the Million. The event moved to St. Louis, in 2023. So this is second time through, I guess, in the Lou.
Third year
in the Lou. Okay. Third year in the Lou. So what do you make of the new home? I mean, St. Louis, that was one of my kind of hometown tracks growing up. I'm a Missouri boy, so I love to see a big event attached to a track like that. I feel like that venue, centrally located, beautiful facility, big pits, great track. It kind of ticks a lot of boxes. I mean, what's the reaction been like from the Million contingent to your guys' new home?
Obviously making the move, it was a little risky. We had to change months and locations, the part of the country we were in, and it has been absolutely phenomenal. The car count has gone up. It's you nailed it. Centrally located, been nothing but great positive feedback. The car count represents that, and the racers love this facility. It is a beautiful facility. The NASCAR tracks here. There's been IndyCar testing while we're here. So you have downtime between rounds. You can go watch Indy cars. You're right at St. Louis. We have some people went to a baseball game last night. Everyone here has been so great to work with. It feels like home, and I don't want to ever move the Million again. We're very happy here.
That's awesome to hear. And I think you hit a lot of key points that oftentimes get overlooked because, these events, especially the ones that trend to be longer, multi-day happenings where there's a lot, various events, a race on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, et cetera. I think it's important to be somewhere where people can go take in the local fare, go see a baseball game, go see the Cardinals play, or go check out downtown St. Louis, or go to the Arch, or check out some of those iconic restaurants. Like, we're seeing our sport start to gravitate more towards these destination events. And I think that that's what, when you're in a venue or in a locale like St. Louis, you kind of have that opportunity to weave that into the Million. Do you agree, Jenny?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. big airport, only about 20 minutes away. That helps for people that want to fly in and hop in a ride. And there's a lot of factors that play into it, and it's all been positive, and it's been great. Everyone here has been great to work with. Nettie, Brad, Chris, Blair, cannot say enough about the entire group here at Worldwide Technology Raceway.
I'm curious, the Million was introduced in 1996. Legendary drag racing promoter George Howard put this concept together. Your family took over operation of the event in 2008. I'm just curious, like, what would you say to George Howard if you bumped into him, if by the grace of God, somehow, some way, he walked through the pits of Worldwide Technology Raceway this weekend? I mean, what would you tell him about where this event has come and what has happened over the course of these 30 years that it has existed since it was his brainchild?
I honestly would just say, I hope you're proud of me. I hope we've made you proud. I hope we've carried on your legacy. And, I do feel like every time we have an event, he's smiling down on us. And it's very special what he started, and to carry on the tradition, I say it all the time, is an honor. And I don't just say it to say it because it's what I should say. It really is. I mean, this race is so special in the bracket racing community. It's the Super Bowl of bracket racing. It's the one everybody wants to win, the one that people say, if I win it, I'll retire. And to be able to carry on the legacy and try to keep it alive, and the prestigiousness has been, awesome for me. I love it. So just, George, I hope I'm making you proud. We're just trying to carry on the legacy you started.
I think you are.
Speaking of that legacy, though, I mean, like you said, the Super Bowl of sportsman racing, and sort of the original big payout bracket race, and really big payout $1 million drag racing event as a whole. We see so many of those now. Not only in sportsman racing, we're seeing big payouts in pro mod and in really every level of drag racing. That's become like a real linchpin for these big events. How have you guys sort of navigated that as it's become a little more saturated and crowded in the huge payout event space? Do you guys feel that at all? Or what's your take on sort of the lay of the land of everything surrounding that right now?
Up until last year, we've only had the Million, so you just kind of stick to your lane, do what you do, and just keep growing the brand. Trying to do anything you can to just stay one step ahead. And we're just kind of, it's the Million, it's the destination race. It's once a year. So it's not I don't really feel our product is saturated or overcrowded, but when you say there is a ton of other races, to a certain extent, I think big money bracket racing as a whole, we all complement each other, because now it's a thing, like we go to these races or those promoters races. And at the end of the day, all of us bracket racers are friends. Every other big promoter I'm friends with, I like to just think we all complement each other, but you just got to try to stay on your A game and don't get complacent, because there is a lot of competition. And at the end of the day, you just got to, focus on your brand and do the best you can.
Jenny, I think you make an incredible point. I like to say that competition happens at the bottom and collaboration happens at the top. And we really try to practice that a lot in what we do. We try hard to maintain great relationships with not only other media brands, but every sanction and series and drag strip in the country, because I feel like we can accomplish a lot more together than we can fighting against one another. So I'm curious, like, that's a conscious decision that you have made? I mean, is there, I think about Peter Biondo, the Spring Flings, and all these various events that have gone on over the years. Like, I think that word compliment is 100% correct. I mean, is there some real strategery involved in that? I mean, do you guys think about, okay, let's make sure there's ample time between this person's race and that person's race, and make sure that we're positioned on the schedule where people aren't having to choose who they support? I mean, I would like to think that that's something you guys likely labor over.
Oh, absolutely. The first thing you do when putting on a race, and one thing that we obviously had to really not struggle with, but really focus in on, is when we moved the Million, knowing we had to, going north, we were going to have to move it up, because October, you're flirting with weather conditions and things that, in the north aren't going to be in your favor, where in the south, you can get away with an October race. So that's the first thing you do. You go to the calendar. What other big money bracket races are there? Nobody wins when you put on an event in the same weekend. It shouldn't be a competition. The more races there are for racers, it's better for the sport, because everybody's now into big money bracket racing and they want to go more often. So I don't know. I mean, I do think that it's big money bracket racing has gotten bigger because of how it's grown and there are more promoters, and if that makes sense.
No, I do. I think
Yeah, for sure.
when you have people that are collaborating, when you have promoters and operators that are trying to play nice, work together to accomplish something better for everyone, right? I mean, the more opportunities these men and women have to go race for good money, the better, right? That's great for our sport. I think that's the type of things that gets people to reinvest in their program, buy new equipment, buy new parts and pieces. It brings new racers into this sport. So I think you're like extremely wise in your approach to that, and I truly appreciate it. 30 years of the OG Million. This is a race that has produced life-changing payouts for people. I've read stories online about people paying off their mortgage, paying, starting a new business. I mean, what's it like to be involved in moments like that, where you're writing a check that's going to have truly, potentially life-changing ramifications to this man or woman?
It's an incredible feeling. That's what just makes this event so special. I work 51 weeks a year, excluding this week, but I'm also working this week. But I'm here right now. What do I change for next year? How can I make this better? How can I make this still special, still prestigious, still, and keep the cars here to keep the big payout. So it is that big, large money that people can have those life-changing experiences with. So I don't know.
I think that it's the coolest thing that I know from me. Like when we do our events down at Bradenton Motorsports Park, I mean, that's the conversation that we have like afterwards. It's always like those memories that are creating these core memories that people will never forget the time they won that event. And those things, to me, I think sometimes there's so much racing going on at this point in time that it's like easy to become desensitized to how special it is to be the last man or woman standing, right? Like there's a whole lot of people. I'm sure there are men and women in the pits right now at Worldwide Technology Raceway that have never been in the winner's circle at a big money race. Right?
Oh,
I mean, have only won maybe on the local level or not even there. I mean, I always reflect on my own experience, and Mike's dad had a much more successful career racing than my dad did. So we joke about this, but I mean, my dad won a handful of times in his entire career of drag racing. You know what I mean? So it's like when those moments happen, it's up to promoters and track operators and the media and everybody else to make sure that those moments are special.
Right. You never know when the last one. You never know the last one either. I mean, you're talking about my dad versus your dad or whatever won a lot early, but in the later years it was few and far between, and we didn't know that what win was going to be the last, and it happens before you know it. So you have to treat each one like it's special. Which, I mean, out of all the winners you've had, like what's the coolest story from a winner that you've had, Jennifer, as far as what someone's gone on to do or something that happened leading up to it? Like which, not to really like play favorites, but what's like the most special win that you've seen in all your years of doing this?
They're all special. I feel like each one has its own, like the 2-time winners. Obviously, There's people that go, it's a lifelong goal of theirs to win the million. And then we have 3 2-time winners that have done it twice. It's like, you guys make it look easy. And then others, are still out here. Some of the best racers in the country that win all the time, and they come to the million and they don't get it done. So they're all special, obviously. Man, I'd have to really
Donnie Hager in 22, to me, he was on the cover of the magazine immediately following.
That's why we put him on
like this. It was why we put him on the cover of the magazine, and the story that went along with that. And what I love about it is, the open trailer warriors, so to speak, the guys that are rolling into these events that don't necessarily have a $500,000 toter home and a stacker trailer that are rolling in. What year was it that, was it Jeff Verdi won in, I think, 2016? And I mean, like, he put a fuel pump in his truck at a gas station somewhere along the way, towed out from the East Coast to be a part of this event, and ended up winning.
We put him on the cover for that.
Another guy.
Also, we've had several million winners. Like that's pretty much what gets them on the cover is winning that race. And I think it's really interesting that you said, some of the best racers in the country can't seem to get it done, but you've got some that win it multiple times. Like some guys are just wired for when the pressure's on and this is it. This is the Super Bowl. This is the race that I want to win, are able to come through, and others that have won championships and are the greatest of all time in a lot of respects aren't able to get it done. I think that creates a really unique like dichotomy for an event. like that,
Yeah,
that it just separates it from like winning Indy or winning an NHRA national event or winning a championship. Like there's some people that are just wired when those big one-off exhibition events come up, they're on their game. And I think you see that pretty much every year at this event.
Yeah. I mean, winning any race is obviously a big deal. It's not easy. They're hard. I personally don't race. I don't think I'd be any good. Know your strengths, know your weaknesses, right? So I don't think I would be good. But coming from the bracket racing family, I know how hard it. Obviously, you roll in the gates. The goal is, we're here to win. That's everybody's goal. Odds are stacked against you. You're anywhere from 400 entries to we have over 700 entries today. So
wow,
these guys, are going to have their hands full to work through this field, but. It's
700.
We have over 750 entries today.
So correct me if I'm wrong, but what does the math, what do we have to have on Saturday for the million to, it's like what, 551 entries or something, the way it used to math out? I can't remember.
Yeah, it's 620.
Okay.
620. So obviously with 750 today, this is a 50 grander, so the entry fee is a little less. I don't think we'll hit that 700 number in the million, obviously, but I do think I'm thinking we're going to go over 500 this year entry count on the million, which will be the biggest million ever. 496 is the biggest. That was the year Donnie Hagar won.
That's absolutely incredible. And you got to take your hat off to any of these dudes that are able to last through. Today's race, how many rounds of competition will that be?
Probably 10. I didn't run the numbers, 10 or 11. Yeah.
10 or 11 rounds of racing. There are guys that won't do that in a month, let alone on a Wednesday, right? Yeah. And that to me is really incredible. Can you give us a little insight? And I appreciate your time here, and we won't keep you too much longer. I know you're literally in the midst of running an event, but I think a lot of times the men and women behind the scenes that make these events, make these things happen. What's it look like for your team and Folk Promotions staff and everybody involved in this deal to pull off an event with that many cars? I'd love to know a little bit about the inner workings and like a run order and schedule for today. When did you start? When do you think you'll end? What kind of pressure are you putting on these racers between rounds to get back into the lanes? What's it look like today?
As far as the team, my team, through the years, you just keep working, keep tweaking, improving, adding, and filling holes that need to be filled. You just have to put the right people in the right place and surround yourself with the right people. And, you're going to be all right. But I'm a small piece of a very large puzzle. So, yes, we have a big crew, a lot of family members. It's pretty much a big family operation for Folk Promotions. But answering the second half of that, I know you said something about my team, but then so today we started at 8:30 with new entry time runs. We had about an hour worth of time runs, went right into first round, no buybacks. And this event, buybacks are time permitting. Obviously today with the over 750 entries, there's not time for a buyback, but we're expecting to wrap things up about midnight. 12:30 is the goal, assuming we don't have any, major oil downs or a crash or, knock on wood
right.
for any of those negative effects. But weather looks good. So I'm hoping for a midnight 12:30 finish. So
I love it. I just think it's incredible. And I give you guys a ton of credit because I know what it's like to try to get through a couple hundred cars, and it's a big task. So I can't imagine having that tripled or then some. What do you make of one of the things that I have often thought about, how prominent it is in big money bracket racing to have these standalone events throughout the day, or throughout the week, where today's a 50 grander, tomorrow's a 50 grander, Friday's, the million, Saturday's another 50 grander. I think that's, do you think that that's a format that could be applied to other types of drag racing? I had an idea a few years ago that we should do a pro mod race that's got a Friday race, a Saturday race, and a Sunday race. You know what I mean? Where it's just where we get to conclusion 3 different times, and we're starting to see that in some of the small tire worlds. But what do you make of that? It adds a lot of value to the racers. I know there's an expense attached to it, right? You got an entry fee, you got to pay every day, but at least you got an opportunity to race for something every day, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Coming from the racer standpoint of it, like when I go to the races and, Dave's racing or my dad's racing or my brother, I love to start the race and finish the race in the same day. Like we want a winner, or if you get on a roll, and I know just from being involved in the racing industry and everything, you hear the racers that say, you get on a roll and you just want to keep going. So I prefer the start and finish in the same day events because, I was on my A game, or I'm feeling good today, or I'm letting go good today. So when it's your day, it's your day. I think it's a great idea. Obviously, when you get too many classes, it's hard to run them start to finish unless it's, shootout or small 16 car fields. But, like obviously nationals, there's so many different classes. It would be hard to run multiple events a day, but I love it. I like to start and finish a race in the same day format. But that it can be applied where it works.
No, I agree. I think it's an interesting concept that I honestly expect us to see more. Okay, last question before we let you go, and a huge shout out to your whole team again, and thank you for taking the time.
No, I appreciate you guys having me. It's no big deal.
No, we appreciate
you. On here for a little bit extra.
Okay, good. So tell me, I'm not trying to put you on the spot. I know this is tough, but who's looking good? Who do you think is there somebody coming into this week's events that has a full head of steam or has a lot of momentum, or somebody that a lot of people kind of have a circle drawn around their name, so to speak?
There's a lot of them. That's what's crazy. There's so many good drivers. I mean, you've Gage Birch is here. He wins all the time. Corey Galitti, Luke Bogacki's here. Troy Williams, Gary Williams. As far as bracket racing goes, all the heavy, Jeff Sarah's here. I'm forgetting somebody. I'm going to go back later and be like, man, you forgot this really great racer. Because when it's your day, it's your day. But the competition is so stiff these days. Anybody could win. I mean, circling back to Donnie Hagar, he showed up the morning of the million in an open bed trailer and slept in a tent. He wasn't even here. It was his first day. He rolled in the morning of the million and won in no box. Who expected that? So it really, and all those heavy hitters were there that weekend too. We're there the weekend when Donnie won. So pulling the lanes right, when things are going your way, anybody can win. But obviously, yes, there is so much talent here. I don't even know where to begin.
And I honestly, again, another thing, we're talking about everything that kind of adds to these events. One thing we can't sleep on is racers love to measure themselves against the best in the world. Yes. And I think that that's more of a draw than we oftentimes realize. I mean, I look at our Drag Illustrated Winter Series, and I really think that, the money is good and the experience is good and the publicity is good. And we're going to have a great time and we're going to party our faces off and have fun. But above all else, you get to go see how you stack up against the best in the world. And I think that is the draw.
Even above the money too. I mean, it's different, I think, for your group and the sportsman racers, but our guys are like, man, the money's awesome, but it's all about those bragging rights and the trophy, or just having that feather in your cap. And I know that your racers think that way in large part as well. It's all about, like what Wes is saying you rolled in, measured yourself against the best, rolled out with the trophy, and they can't take that away from you.
Yeah, no, absolutely not. And they're all here. It's a stacked field. So somebody made a post the other day and was like, who's your pick to win the million this year? And it's so hard. I mean, it could be anybody's day, but
you're not allowed to pick. You got to be neutral.
Yeah, I mean, but I genuinely mean it when I say it. Literally anybody could win, and there is so much talent here. I wouldn't even know who to pick.
It's absolutely incredible. Well, congratulations, Jenny.
We'll be following.
We really appreciate. We'll be following along throughout the rest of the weekend. Folks, tune in, follow along. If you're in the area, come out and check out some of the best bracket racers on the planet Earth. I tell you what, I don't think these guys and gals get the credit they deserve. I always talk about, they can say what they want, but there's a lot of big personalities in the pits of these bracket races, and there's a lot of guys that are extremely good, and gals, at what they do, and I love to see them have this moment in the sun. So thank you for providing it to them.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for having me.
No problem. We'll see you soon, okay?
Yep.
Be careful out there. Tell everyone hello, and we'll catch up after the race.
Okay, sounds great. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Jennifer.
Talk soon. All right, guys, let me take a quick second here and remind you all that each and every episode of the Wes Buck Show is made possible by way of Applied Racing Technology. Based in Clearwater, Florida, ART has been helping keep racers on the track for over 20 years with their top quality chassis, suspension, safety gear, and more. Check them out at appliedracing.com. Guys, we've got our final guest of the day in the green room right now. Let's give it up
A
for
lot
the
of
man
people,
behind.
hyping this guy up.
A lot
man.
of guys,
We're
a
waiting to
lot
see
of
him.
people hyping him up, man. I mean, there's a lot of comments on here. Bring on Uncle
Yeah.
Jeff. Where's Jeff? We need to see JT. It's happening, ladies and gentlemen. The man behind the biggest outlaw no prep race in the country, War in the Woods at Brown County Dragway, the one and only Jeff Thomas. What's up, buddy?
What's up,
How's it
Jeff?
going, guys?
It's going well, man. How are
It's an
things?
annual date here, right? I mean, I think we did this exact same thing this Wednesday a year ago.
Was it then?
Yeah.
Possibly.
Yeah,
it was.
I don't know. The days run together for me, especially like
Yeah,
these last
same,
couple
man.
weeks. Yeah.
No, it's crazy, man. Well, take us through it, buddy. I mean, how are things looking for the weekend? It seems like every post I see on social media is another racer either there or on their way to War in the Woods. It's amazing what this thing has become. Do you have to kind of take a second here and pinch yourself? I saw your post on Facebook the other day that maybe it's not for everybody, but man, there's thousands and thousands and thousands of people that absolutely love what we're doing here. And you can count us in that group, Jeff.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate that. Yeah. I mean, you know what? It's, I think I told you this last time. I mean, sometimes there's moments here where I can't even believe it. You know what I mean? Like it, but I will tell you this, the secret recipe to this deal is, 6 years ago, me and a buddy just threw this race. And honestly, it was just your regular old backyard, no prep race. Right. And then we were sitting in my shop, maybe a week after the event. And I said, I think if we put some effort into this, it could be huge. And that's really how it started. And I remember we were sitting there and I said, I think what it needs is it needs to be more than just two cars going down the racetrack. And, that's what it is. I mean, this thing is, it's insane. I mean, I'll give you just two examples real quick that'll make it make sense, right? I had a girl call me from Vermont yesterday, the state of Vermont. Okay, now, first of all, I've been all over the world, right? I don't know that I've ever met anybody from Vermont, right?
I don't know that
It's a
I know
small
anybody
state.
from
It's
Vermont.
a small state.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and you know what she said? She said, hey, me and two of my girlfriends are driving out for War in the Woods. And I was curious if Bill Monroe's has showers that we can shower in. I mean, literally, I would say that we have a map where we let people put pins on it, spectators, where they came from. We're probably real close to having all 50 states.
Dude, that's 1,000-mile one-way drive.
Exactly.
Depending on where they're at. And because I mean, those got to be kind of pinch me moments when you have somebody that's going to spend their money, spend their time to drive essentially halfway across the country to go to what you described initially as a backyard no prep race.
Yeah.
And obviously
honestly,
it's become more than that. But
oh, yeah. I mean, I'm going to take a guess, and this is just nothing more than an educated guess, but I get a lot of messages and a lot of people asking questions. I'm going to say the average spectator drives 5 hours to come. And they don't miss it. Now, this is the first event, and this is War in the Woods 13, right? So going on 7 years, this is the very first event where there's been no rain forecast. So
shout out God.
Knock on some wood.
Appreciate you.
Right, you got
Appreciate
something right
you, God.
above your head right there. Just get to knocking on that.
I mean, I think, this is nothing more than just a guess too, but I think we can get close to 10,000 spectators this weekend. And to think that we went from the very first race having maybe 500 people here, it's pretty crazy. I mean, the people, my staff and my family, they do an awesome job. And you know what? We're not great at anything, but we've done a good job of getting better every race at just being more efficient, fixing problems, being prepared for more spectators, more parking, more food. I mean, it has evolved into a big business,
Got some upgrades to the facility, right, since last year. So
one thing I want to address on here, because I know you guys have a big audience, right? And one thing, I'm pretty old, man. It's pretty hard to really faze me nowadays. You know what I mean? But one thing that I hate, as much as I love the media and as beneficial as they were to me and still are to this day, right? The race has gotten a very unfair rap, as this big crash 'em up derby, where it's just not true. And I race all over the country myself. Now, I'm not sitting here saying that this track isn't sketchy and narrow and has its own things. It does. I mean, I would never debate that with anybody. But here's the thing. I've raced, I would say 60% of the tracks I race at have less safety than Brown County Dragway. You know what I'm saying? I mean,
Yeah.
And you know, we have top of the line EMS here. And for the amount of passes that go down the track at a War in the Woods, we have a very low crash rate. I mean, we've had War in the Woods events with no crashes, you know, so I think that, you know, people drop videos and they like to focus on the wrecks and it's really
it's all about the clicks.
It is.
That's what gets the clicks for them. Yeah. And
I mean, I'm saying is it's a misrepresentation.
Right.
The racing here is off the hook, man.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's the feedback that I get, Jeff.
Yeah, we do too.
Feedback
And you got to cover
it like.
Yeah, you got to cover from both directions, you know, like the good stuff. And, you know, if something bad like that happens, then that's fine. As long as you're also showing all the positive aspects. I'm with you, man. There's a lot of clickbait out there.
Yeah.
And I think that's what everyone goes to. We just saw it. I mean, was it, if it bleeds, it leads, right? That's what we say in the media industry.
Yeah.
So you see more and more of that on social media.
Hey, I agree
with
you. Hating on them either. I understand, you know what I mean? Like, but I can tell you this. Let me give you an example. And I like to say things that, you know, people that haven't been here, it gives them an idea of what the race means, even to your standard spectator. In May, you know, it was supposed to rain like a couple tenths of an inch on Thursday night, and it rained 2.5 inches. I mean, we probably had 2,000 people in here already. And, you know, I mean, I had no choice. We had to do what we had to do. The weather looked great for Saturday and Sunday. Friday, I rented bulldozers, bought all the gravel in the county. I'm like, I'm going to get these cars to the starting line. We're racing, right? And we worked all day, and there was so much water that the water just kept coming up out of the track on the big end, and we just kept drying it. And like at 10:30 at night, we were literally 1 minute away from sending the first pair down, and it rained again. On that Friday, there was 6,000 people here for 12 hours that never saw one burnout and never moved. They stayed the whole time. They weren't upset. They didn't want their money back. That's the atmosphere of War in the Woods. You know what
I mean, and that's the comments that we're seeing right now in the chat. Yeah. And, you know, we love seeing those. So feel free to throw in your experience at War in the Woods. But I mean, that's what people are saying. It's a party. It's a lifestyle event.
And you know what's funny? You guys want to laugh? I mean, I'm not going to sit here and I'm a black and white person. Yeah, there's probably some people that maybe had a little too much to drink. Not any worse than any other race I've ever been to. When the scale of people goes up, the percentage of problems go up. I mean, you guys want to laugh? I sell beer at the track, right? Our beer sales are horrible. You know what I mean? So, I mean, ironic, right? But I'm just saying, like, the people really, we have very few incidents. I mean, a lot of these people, man, they love it. They are very supportive. I mean, there's people coming here to celebrate their 40th and 50th wedding anniversaries. I mean, it's you can't make this stuff up. You know,
that's what you have to have. It's got to be, like you said, more than just two cars going down the track. It has to be a happening. Someone to really circle that thing on the calendar. We actually started the show talking about that. Like, does live stream cannibalize ticket sales or people going to events? And I think there's certain events like yours. We just had Jennifer Folk from the Million on, like these ones that stick out, that people have circled on the calendar from day one. They're going to come regardless, and it becomes something that they feel like they have to attend every year because it's become part of their life. If somebody's celebrating their anniversary there, they're probably going to be there for their 51st again next year because it's become a part of their deal. But how do you balance this growth and everything you've got going on with the facility and the event, and then also racing? You know, you're doing it all. You're selling beer. I mean, you're a busy guy there this weekend. How do you balance all that, and what kind of team do you have around you to help with that?
Well, my sister is a huge part of the event. Dean Blevins, that works at my business for me, is a huge part. I mean, you know, that's another thing that's crazy. Everybody that knows us, or, you know, which in the drag racing world is a lot, they know it's a small group of people, you know, that put this on. And like I said before, I didn't go to college. I think we have a lot of common sense. I think that we're honest people. We do what we say we're going to do. We pay what we say we're going to pay. You know, we do our best to improve things, and if there's a problem, it doesn't happen a second time. And I think the racers appreciate the everything about the event. I mean, and here's another thing. I'm glad I just thought of this. I'm at the track sitting in my motorhome now, which I'll show you guys. Maybe I'll pan around in a second. But you know, the companies that sponsor this event. I mean, here's one thing and this is where I know that we've been successful, right? And I'm not pounding my chest, right? But you know, companies like Strange and Fuel Tech and this is, you know, I was talking with Jeff at the U.S. Nationals in the Strange Suite, and what this race means to that company is crazy. You know,
yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
And you're talking about a big operation. I mean, Jeff Stange and the Strange Engineering team are like some of the best operators in this space. They do an incredible job.
And here's what's crazy. You know, when we first started, and these are facts, right? I'm not good. My partner that started it with me, John Molina, that passed away. John was one of them guys that everybody liked to talk to. He's your guy to do marketing or to talk to companies to try to get, you know, people interested in sponsoring. And, you know, it was nothing then. And it was hard to get somebody to give you a t-shirt or a beer koozie, you know. Now, you know, I always tell people that want to get involved in the event. And I think it's the truth. I think that we really have something to offer companies. You know, I mean, I feel like if they come in and put some of their money and or products or what have you into the event, I think they get a return for it. And, you know, a lot of these places now, the majority of our sponsors have been with us for over 5 years. You know, they're there event after event. And, you know, we've formed some long-term relationships with some great people that are very supportive. And, you know, it's just everything, man. I mean, like I said, me and my sister and the staff have just gotten better at what we do, and we've stayed ahead of the problems. You know, I try to do a good job at, you know, like imagine running out of food when there's 8,000 people there. You know, I mean, that's a major problem. Or my biggest nightmare ever was, what if I have 500 cars that have driven from 5 to 15 hours to come to the race and I can't park them? I mean, how bad would I feel? These people, they obviously want to see the race and I can't park them. I mean, that's not an option, you know? So we just have tried to do good and always stay on top of things. And I mean, we got the best drag racing announcer that's ever held a mic. When you guys come to the race, you'll see it. I mean, he's just, you know, he's just awesome. I mean, the people love him and
another thing that adds to the element of the event, I got like 3 points I want to make. First and foremost, this is something that is often lost on folks, is that when you start talking about 5, 6, 7, 10,000 people on the property, you can expect to have the same type of problems that you have in a small town.
Right.
So, right. I mean, there are a lot of towns in North America that don't have a population of 10,000 people.
Yeah.
And so when you have that kind of people, that kind of humanity on the property, I mean, you're going to have babies, you're going to have fights, you're going to have heart attacks, you're going to have heat stroke. I mean, that's just, those things are happening every day in small town America, and you're bringing in that many people to a singular venue. So I totally appreciate what you're saying in that regard. Secondly, there was a comment here is that, you know, going back to your original point about kind of the event getting something of a bad rap, man, wrecks are a part of drag racing. I mean, this week at Drag Week, we've seen multiple really, really scary crashes. And those are happening at, you know, largely NHRA sanctioned, very well, you know, well-kept venues. We saw one of the worst crashes we've seen in a while at Maple Grove this past weekend in Top Fuel.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I mean, so yeah, Tony Stewart and Doug Coletta, a really, really scary scene there. I mean, these things are kind of part of what we do. But I don't know that, like, as this event has grown, I personally don't feel it would have the same effect if you went to Gateway or if you went to Indy. I mean, it's just a dip.
No,
I mean, some band. I mean, how many times have I said this, Mike? Some bands sound better in a honky tonk.
Yeah.
And drag racing is that band. I mean, I'm telling you, especially when you're talking about, you know, door slammer drag racing, pro mod style drag racing, small tire stuff. I think it belongs at these honky tonk type venues. It looks
100.
Natural there. And I think it loses some of its sex appeal when you take it to these like super polished and I'm trying to think of like venues that kind of feel like a doctor's office, right? And it's like, those are cool places and there's a place for them. God bless them. It's not It's not yesterday, or it's not either or. Both can exist, but it's absolutely incredible, man. And I'm happy for you. There was a question in the comments, and I want to get your opinion on this. Small tire, whether it's
that's what I was going to ask.
Go ahead, Mike.
No, I mean, not to cut you off, but I think that what we're seeing, like in drag racing as a whole, is the growth of small tire no prep, and I think that your event contributes to that and is kind of leading the way. What do you make of that as far as what's happened on the big tire no prep scene, and what's allowed the small tire no prep to sort of take over? And I mean, it's something that we're seeing.
That's a real legit question. I mean, first of all, big tire is completely dead. We won't even be having big tire this weekend. I made it where you had to lock in for big tire, and if I couldn't get 10 cars, I'm just not going to run big tire. I wish I knew the answer to that, because big tire at places like this is an awesome class. We also bought Lake Cumberland Dragway in Kentucky, and last fall we had a race down there, and I think we had 16 big tire cars. I mean, 4 or 5 screw blown, 4 or 5 pro charge, several. I mean, what a show, man. They were awesome. But you know what's funny is small tire no prep, to be honest with you, especially this year, is really down. I mean, to be honest with you, things are not in a great place, and there's multiple reasons for that. In the last 2 years, small tire no prep has just, I mean, it's like this. You remember when top fuel cars went from a 5-second pass to a 4-second pass, and then everybody was like, you'll never see a 3, and look where we are now. That's happened in small tire no prep, and it's a lot of people, I think, just are not coming out to race because they can't be competitive. They kind of know where the ET is and what they've got and budgets and this and that. So another thing that's awesome about here, which is another thing that people kind of get wrong, they think you got to go 450 here to win, right? Well, we don't run races here. There's been no bracket races here. I had a drag and drive come through here earlier this year, and I had have you ever heard of them cars, Holdens? The North American Holden Club had a meet down here with about 80 cars that just wanted to make passes, right? So the surfaces, going to what Wes said, of these smaller tracks, that's what makes the racing. You see what I'm saying? I mean, I don't know who's going to roll in here this weekend. I don't do lock in. You show up, you pay your buy-in, you race, for big money. I mean, you could have, excuse me, Ryan Martin and Murder Nova. Who knows who's going to show up, right? But I can tell you this, the big budget team is not a necessary win at a surface like this. Okay,
right. The track is the equalizer, and I think that's what the small tire has been the equalizer. But we're seeing such performance on that tire, like you're saying, and we're seeing like we saw Speed Promotions, the Outlaw Series. They did a small tire event. Like you're starting to see more organizations adopt it, and you see more money pouring into it, the bigger teams running on it. So I agree with what you're saying there, but now you've got the tire plus the track surface as the equalizer, versus like a clean event like Wes is saying.
Yeah, on a good front side, on a 28 10.5 slick, the ETs are insane. I mean, where a couple years ago people would say you could never run that on a 28 10.5 slick, So I mean, it's like, the funny thing is, I've always said this, right? I'm not a filthy rich guy. I'm just your regular racer, right? Racing, I've been racing for 40 years. I mean, literally, and racing money is always going to play a factor in racing, and racers are always the progression is always going to be there. Look at class racing or radio racing. They change the rules all around all the time. And what happens? Those smart teams figure out how to go faster with less. That's how it's always been, and it always will. No matter how you structure rules or what you do, people will work their ass off and they'll get better, and
the cream will rise to the top, right? I mean, and it's...
Yeah, the thing is, that's the whole premise of racing.
Agreed. Because I think there's a lot of, I've seen many a time when, I'm not trying to say this like disparagingly, but it's true. I've seen a mediocre racer with world-class equipment accomplish half as much as a great racer with mediocre equipment.
Good
You know what I'm
point.
saying? And I just think that, I mean, I've seen that example time and time again at our own events, at events across the country or around the world, that to your point, I mean, budget helps. Having some extra bread, it can certainly make a big difference.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you can't tow that stacker trailer to the starting line. You can't bring all those spares with you to the starting line. When you roll up there, you got what you got. And I think that when you're at a venue like yours, the track is the equalizer. And I'm hoping that we continue to see that. I mean, do you think that, what's your take? I mean, I feel like that's part of the reason we're seeing such an explosion in growth. Like I got a report earlier that it looks like there's 90 little gangsters cars entered into the event at Cecil County coming up. Like that class where it's a little bit more budget friendly and it can be like a real street car or a purpose-built race car, but not having to lean on it real hard. What's your take on that? I mean, it's because to me, there's a lot of energy and excitement around that brand of racing, and they're not guys running bottom fours in the 8th mile.
Yeah, well, here's my thing on that, right? First of all, I support all racing. You know, I mean, I think a lot of people think that I have this reputation of being like a bracket or index hater or this or that. I'm not at all. I think, you know, like what one person's cup of tea is not another's. You know what I mean? Like myself, I don't index race. I'd rather heads up or be on the street or something like this, right? So I don't really know that like an index class has a place at my event, but I can say it is wildly popular and understandably so. And like, you know, Jimmy and Poland that are doing that, I think it's awesome because people are getting in where they fit in, and that's fine. You know, I've always said this before, and it's just my honest opinion, right? If you go to any bracket race, which there's one going on in every state and all over the place every weekend, right? They all have one thing in common: they have no spectators, right? It's not a big time spectator sport, okay? So me as a promoter speaking, you know, I don't know that it's the right fit for this venue, right? But hey, like I said before, if you're racing front wheel drive Hondas and everybody's having fun and you're putting spectators in the seats, I hope they kill it, man. You know, I mean, that's just being honest. You know what I mean? I mean, but a lot of them guys, like I was just saying, who feel like maybe they can't be competitive in small tire anymore, are finding a place in a class like Little Gangsters. And that's another part of the evolution of the sport, right? I mean, like at the end of the day, here's a perfect example. If I feel like I can't fund a car that can win in small tire, then I probably need to do one of a couple things. Find another class that I fit better, right? Or take some time off from racing, save money to get equipment that's competitive, right? Or just quit. Yeah. Or quit racing, right? I mean, that's, and you know what that is? That's just reality. And I think sometimes people don't like to face what reality is in their racing, you know?
You're 100% right, man. I mean, those are tough conversations to have with folks, but that is the reality of this, because I mean, Mike and I can both attest that you can go, I mean, you've been in racing for 40 years. Like you said, there's never been a time in drag racing when I had people telling me, man, this shit's cheap. It's never happened. You know what I'm saying? Like, never has happened. I mean, I don't care if it was back. I mean, I remember running around with my dad trying to race, you know, match racing in the Midwest. And it was like, he was complaining about how out of control it was then.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And gas was $1 a gallon.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's like, so that's always been kind of part of the story. But the ones who want it bad enough will find a way.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And like you said, I mean, I could give you multiple examples right now. Ryan Mitchell is the most dominant guy at War in the Woods. He's 5 times. He's out of 8 times racing here. He's won 5 times. He's the only multiple winner. I'm the only guy that's won and actually been in the finals 2 before. So 2 times I've been in the finals, won once, right? But Ryan has dominated, and Ryan is not on a millionaire top level budget, okay? But he outworks everybody. He outtests everybody. He's a student of the game. I'm not trying to ride Ryan. He's a buddy, but I'm just saying, like, that's a perfect example of what you just said. He doesn't roll in here with a stacker trailer. I mean, money is not winning him those races. This right here is winning it. You know,
Agreed.
So,
And I think the other point you made that is solid is the guys who race a lot. Because I
Yeah.
mean, I know that one of the things that I see kind of consistently over the years is a guy rolls out once or twice a year, goes to some big, super competitive event, and then is somehow surprised when he doesn't do worth a shit.
yeah, yeah,
And it's like, hey man, you're going up against people that have been racing the last 9 weeks in a row.
yeah.
You know what I mean? And in between them, testing.
I always kid, you know what? If you see a no prep car that looks like a show car, he's probably not winning. Okay, a lot of those cars look like they do because they get the living shit ran out of them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And if, you know, if you're out street race, I mean, I've been at street races before where I tore the front valance right off the car just trying to get to the trailer. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, when I build a new car now, the first thing I do is scratch it, taking it out of the trailer the first time on purpose. Because it's inevitable, you know.
Get it out
Might
of the
as
way,
well
man.
get that out of the way.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
just
what
get
we
it out
always
of the
said
way.
too.
Yeah.
Oh, no, it's an incredible thing that you've built, Jeff, and we're super excited for you, man. Thank you for taking some time to shoot the shit with us today. I hope you guys, as Mike was saying, knock on wood, from your mouth to God's ears, we're going to have a great weekend weather-wise for y'all and some really great competitive, safe racing. I'm looking forward to watching how it all unfolds, man. We appreciate you, Jeff.
Yeah. Hey, let me step outside real quick, and
Please do.
You can see the track a little bit if you want.
Behind the scenes, man. We love it.
The calm before the storm, Jeff. It's looking glorious, man.
Yeah, man. In
Yeah.
the woods.
It's going to be
for
a
sure.
whole different scene here very shortly. So what
Yeah.
do we got? One race on Friday, one race on Saturday, right?
No. It's
Oh, no.
one whole race.
Oh, yeah, that's
We
what I
run-
meant. Yeah.
Yeah, we run all classes run Friday night. Usually we try to get 2 rounds in on Friday and then start back up on Saturday and finish out. So we usually run all the finals together at the end, one after another. So, yeah, tomorrow, let's see, gates open at 9 a.m. By noon or 1, there'll be 5,000 people in here. And then probably from about 4 p.m. to about 9 p.m., it'll never stop at the gate. They just will never stop pouring in.
That's wild, man. That's a lot of people at one time for sure. You better get your rest tonight, and you got a big weekend ahead of you.
We're prepared this time, so we're really ahead of schedule prepared. Now that kind of worries me. But
The scariest feeling in the world.
You better knock on wood again.
yeah. Hey, I appreciate you guys having me on, and I told JT earlier, look, Wes, you were supposed to be here last year. Now look, when you guys are ready, we'll roll the red carpet out. But trust me, I know how big of enthusiasts you guys are. This is something you need to experience. I'm just telling you.
We do, man. I was thinking about that when we were going to have you on today. I was like, he's going to call us out because we said we're coming and we haven't made
my
it yet.
Uncle
We need
Mike
to.
died that weekend.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, it was a rough weekend, but yeah,
we need to for sure, man. This is such a busy time of year, but we'll definitely try to figure it out. Hey, we made it to Yellow Bullet for the first time this year. We didn't go to Indy, went to Yellow Bullet, so maybe next year we can do War in the Wood, Yellow Bullet, War in the Woods.
Stay in touch. Always the last weekend in May and the third weekend in September.
Yeah,
so.
that the May date may be better because it's so crazy around this time of year with everything we've got going on.
Yeah.
We'll definitely need to make that happen.
Yep,
we have
we'll
to.
Awesome.
I'm curious,
cool,
before you leave, what's like the nearest town?
Well, so literally about 7 minutes down the street is Nashville, Indiana, which is a really, really cool old little town, and it's all like antiques and stuff. It's actually like a huge tourist trap in the fall when the leaves turn and stuff.
Yeah.
And I mean, you're down here in the woods. This is
Well, because I mean, that's like a
What's
lot
the
of the
closest
people
city?
that. I mean, do they like camp? Do like a lot? Most of you.
So let me get that.
I got to pull up Google Maps.
This is good. Yeah, you could pull it up, but. So right next to me, that borderlines my property, is Bill Monroe Music Park and Campground. They have almost 300 RV hookups. So Rex, the guy that owns the Bill Monroe's, and I have become good friends, and we work together. So we actually have a trail through the woods. So when tomorrow at the race, right now, people right now are pulling in at Bill Monroe's. They're buying their wristbands to come to War in the Woods and paying for their camping at the gate at Bill Monroe. And then they can drive their golf cart on a trail we built through the woods, and they can park their golf cart over here where they enter into the track. So we have that, right? I have 46 acres here at the track, and then I lease another 15 at that is attached to my property line too. But probably by 3 o'clock tomorrow, we'll be at capacity on 60 acres, over 60 acres, and then we'll tell all the spectators to start going to Bill Monroe's, and they'll get that's overflow parking there. So you have, so right here I'm about 45 minutes from Indy. Just as reference, my shop is 7 minutes from PRI.
Okay.
From the convention center in downtown Indy, right? So from my shop, I can be to the track in about 45 minutes due south of Indy. And then you got several other towns around here, like Bloomington, where Indiana University is. You're about 30 minutes from there. Another big town, Columbus. So there's some places, everything in this area is sold out hotel wise and stuff. What the people have gotten smart. They come to the spring race. When they check out of their hotel, they book it for the fall race.
That's what you got to do, man. I mean, that's literally what we experienced at Yellow Bullet a few weeks ago. It was like, well, we better get this hotel locked up for next year if we're planning on coming back, because this shit will be sold out, bro.
Yeah.
Well, man, I'm telling you, we preach it a lot, but like when you can make an event matter like that, like regionally, it's no surprise when it becomes a national treasure. You know what I mean? Like when you've got, people coming and packing in and camping and all the local involvement, I think that is such a big difference maker.
All these other businesses around you, they probably appreciate what you're doing.
Oh,
man, that's a huge deal.
Yeah, we'll be going. I'll probably go to dinner tonight at the Chop House in downtown Nashville. And he says it's his 5 or 6 busiest days of the year are War in the Woods. They make more money than they ever do. So yeah, it's cool.
You better be getting a free steak then.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. But hey, I think it's awesome and I appreciate all the kind words about the event. And I know all the people that helped put it on appreciate that too, because they deserve some recognition. I mean, the amount of work this takes is insane. I mean, this last week we've gotten a lot better at it, but it's a 365-day a year job,
It really is, man. I think people fail to realize that is what it takes. Like if you want to have one of these events that cuts through the noise, you better be prepared to work on it every single day. Yeah. That's what it takes.
And it has turned into a business where I expect to make money because nobody would work this hard for nothing in return. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. So, that's the key.
Yeah. Yeah. But anyway, like I said, thanks a lot, guys, and I appreciate it.
We appreciate you, Jeff, man. Be safe this weekend. Good luck, and keep us posted, all right?
All right, guys. Take care.
Appreciate it.
Yep. Thanks, Jeff.
Bye.
Well, man, that was a hell of an interview. And no tech issues. We got through Jenny with no tech issues. We got some background burnout noise,
man.
But by God.
Our guy that's in the woods at War in the Woods had the best connection. Yeah.
And I just got a text from Cruz apologizing. No worries at all.
We'll get Cruz
rescheduled. We'll get him at his shop in Indy or set up at one of these races. And
we're gonna have an entire episode dedicated to rebooks for our technical issue people. So we've got Travis Harvey.
Yeah, we've definitely got to try Travis Harvey again. Yeah,
that's our lineup so far of our technically challenged guests that we'd like to have back. Man, Cruz, we got to get Cruz back whenever we've got JT. Also, we need some Raider Chiefs trash talk going on there.
Oh yeah, that will come out in spades. Well, ladies and gentlemen, Mike, Blake, appreciate you guys tuning in and joining this conversation. We're really proud of the work we do here and helping shine a light on all these great people that do so much for the sport of drag racing. So go to the races this weekend, support your local drag strip, and we will see you next Wednesday right here on the Drag Illustrated YouTube channel. Appreciate it, guys.
Yep. See y'all next week.